The 2018 NBA All-Star Game from Los Angeles is less than 3 weeks away, and it's time to give you the 5 major headlines of the Western Conference All-Star starters. First off, Steph Curry. He was the leading vote getter in the Western Conference, and I think that's interesting. He missed about a fourth of the season, though his stats are off the chain, averaging about 27.6 points per game. He's playing phenomenal ball when he's playing, but it's kind of hard to look at him as a guy that deserved to be the top vote getter on the Western Conference side because he has missed about 15, 16 games, and when he's missed these games, Golden State pretty much hasn't missed a beat. If we're talking about records, though the style of play looks a little different, Kevin Durant, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green are more than capable of beating pretty much every team in the Western Conference or heck in the NBA. And that's why it's tough to look at Steph Curry as the top overall vote getter in the West and the guy leading this Western Conference team. He will be the captain. Another guy, Russell Westbrook, didn't get to start, obviously because Steph Curry was the point guard voted in. And that's interesting to me. Russ came right behind Steph and James Harden in votes. Russell Westbrook is statistically putting up a better season. He's more reliable than Steph Curry has been this year. He's asked to do much with less talent. He's a guy that's averaging more rebounds than Steph. He's averaging more assists than Steph. He's more valuable right now to his team than what Steph is to Golden State. The Warriors could possibly win a championship without the services of Steph Curry. OKC couldn't win without Russell Westbrook. He has a strong case, especially following his MVP season last year, and Steph Curry got the nod over him as well. At number 3, I'm going to roll with Kevin Durant not leading the West in votes. Again, this steals from Steph Curry leading the West in votes. If Kevin Durant considers himself the best player in the world, that has to be a part of it. The fact that you can't even be the leading vote getter. A lot of the times the fans get it right, and when they start voting guys as the top vote getter, they're starting to make the transition as the guy who's going to be the most popular and the best player in the new era. It's who's gaining the most fans. And for Kevin Durant, with him playing pretty much all of this season, him not able to outlast Steph Curry in votes, I think that's very telling about what people think about him. Maybe he's not the most popular or the most liked guy in the league right now, or maybe people just don't think he's the best guy, and they don't want to see him play as much as they want to see Steph Curry play. Very telling there. Number 4, LaMarcus Aldridge doesn't get a start. I'm going to bring up my 5th point in a second, but LaMarcus Aldridge is leading an under-talented San Antonio Spurs team who's had to deal with Kawhi Leonard pretty much not playing much of any basketball. He's only played in 9 games. Tony Parker is not himself anymore. He came back and he's pretty much not the old Tony Parker coming from an Achilles injury. Manu Ginobili is asked to still be a guy at the age of 40 to be your best guy off your bench, 6th man of the year candidate. Let's call a spade a spade. With Kawhi Leonard pretty much missing most of the first half of the season, LaMarcus Aldridge has this San Antonio Spurs team at number 3 in the West, and he's the only guy on a team with only one All-Star. If Kawhi's not playing, there's nobody else who's playing at an All-Star-like level for San Antonio right now. He has them at number 3. That tells us a lot about LaMarcus Aldridge's game, his growth, and his ability to change and adjust his game and fit in Pop's system. And it also, speaking of Pop, tells us a lot about Greg Popovich and his ability to coach no matter who he has on the floor. And the last thing that stands out to me about the 2018 NBA All-Star Game, speaking of LaMarcus Aldridge, one reason why he didn't get into the game as a starter, he didn't make the game, but he didn't get in as a starter, was because the fans voted in Anthony Davis and DeMarcus Cousins. Now, this is where it gets very tricky. Anthony Davis and DeMarcus Cousins statistically are off the chain. They both deserve to be all-stars. Now, their Pelicans team has won a bulk of games as of late, and they currently stand around the 6th or 7th seed in the Western Conference. But for most of this season, this team has struggled. And if they're going to have 2 All-Star game starters on their team, I expect better than a 6th seed or 7th seed in the Western Conference. If you got 2 starters on your team, you got Anthony Davis averaging 26.5 points and 10 rebounds. You got DeMarcus Cousins averaging 25 points and pretty much 13 rebounds. If you're going to have 2 starters, I expect higher expectations than 6th or 7th in the Western Conference. LaMarcus Aldridge, even though he has better coaching, he's pretty much doing it by himself with his San Antonio Spurs team as 3rd in the Western Conference. Fans had a bulk part in that vote. They get 50%. Again, the fans' vote outweighed the media and the players. But with the All-Star game, this is one of the things that we can never figure out. How much does winning account for? Typically, we see a guy come off every team that's in the top 8 in either conference. But you don't really know how much should winning impact it. It's kind of a subjective thing. But at some point, winning has to matter. And I have 2 All-Star game starters from the Pelicans team, and they're not in the top half of the Western Conference. I just don't understand how you balance that out and how you make sense out of that. Nevertheless, I'm very excited for the NBA All-Star game. We're going to have the new format where the starters are picked by LeBron James and Steph Curry, East and Western captains respectfully, and then we're also going to have the reserves shuffled in there as well and picked and by LeBron James and Steph Curry. I'm very excited about the new format. See the guys play harder. Are you excited about this game? And what do you think about my 5 headlines that headline the Western Conference NBA All-Star starters?